Oh shoot! It went through already. No, I didn't want it to go through yet. Oh, I hope it doesn't. All right, I didn't get to finish typing, but it looks like it's just getting ready to go now. We just gonna have to get with the get and see what happened.
Now you can't go back and edit that.
Typing, but the party don't stop. No, already on live. It's already live. So that's right. I'll go later and do it. It's no problem. Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we put down classic Black films. Now, some of the films are classic, but it's classic to us, and that's what we're going to talk about. This is my boy, Leroy Mckenzie Jr. Say hey to the people.
What's up, good people? Y'all know what it is. It's the I'm not the impact builder. We just here having fun. But it's your boy, Leroy Mckenzie Jr. What's going on, everybody?
Used to impact builder. So we've done, I guess this is episode 8. We've done classic Black, break it down only the way Leroy and I can, as movie buffs, as coaches, as just viewers of the movie and the times that we were in at that time. As we always say, this is going to be a spoiler. You want to hear about the movie, this is not the show. You haven't seen movies in 20, 30 years, then butter, it deserves to be spoiled for you.
Yeah,
and if you're young and your parents haven't told you about these movies, right. So just go on ahead and watch the movie and watch our review, and then hopefully it will, get you all revved up to go ahead and watch the movies. So today we're talking about the movie Brothers. So I just want to play some of the trailer.
Hey, you sure okay? Oh God, I'm sorry. I was just thinking that lately Jackson has been saying all of the right things, but I don't know if he means any of them. Well, why you say that? Jackson told me that he loved me. The last piece of chicken while we watched the movies. Not good. Not good. Hey, maybe I can get Terry to talk to him, find out what he's thinking. He's got his head on straight these days. Yes, Terry's gonna make a fine husband. Now, y'all know that the brothers are not going for that. Yeah, I was probably just overreacting. I mean, it happens. Maybe Jackson was just hungry, right? Not likely, baby. It's a subconscious thing. I don't know why women always pay for men's emotional failures. We do that. We do. Don't we? Well, I know one reason. What? Well, damn. We're going to get deep. Let's go sit down.
All right, so we're going to go get deep. Let's go sit down. And we are sitting down right now. I was going to play the trailer, but I said, let me just start with a scene like I normally do. So I'll allow, since Leroy was like, let's do Brothers. Leroy, I want you to tell the people what the movie is about, and then I'm going to get into the statistics as I always do. But just tell briefly what this movie is about for those that have not seen this. And also you watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us so you can be notified when all the other shows or episodes are uploaded. But hit that subscribe button right now, y'all. But go ahead, Leroy, tell people.
Yeah, well, not only the subscribe button, but we want you to like, comment, share, to talk about this, because this is about having fun, and we think that people will enjoy. These are movies that we believe that people will enjoy because we've enjoyed them, and these movies are over 20 years old. This is probably the youngest one, I think, because this is 2001.
Yeah,
which is
all of that.
Actually 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So if you ain't seen it in 20 years, there's something wrong with you. You need to have that black card revoked, because this is definitely one of those that you should have seen. But The Brothers, as it's titled, is actually a story about four, it's not middle-aged, 4 young men, because they're about, I think, between their early 30s, I think is what it is at that time, which is what is right around our age at that time too. So it was perfectly, suited for those of us that were in that age bracket. But professional men, which is what I love about it. This was about 4 professional men. Each of them worked. Each of them had a job. Each of them had not even just a job, they had a profession. but the story revolves around Marsh Chestnut's character. If y'all can see him, y'all can see him right there. You can see him right there, Marsh Chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
He's what I call the main character of the movie, but he is dealing with relationship issues, and he's actually seeing a therapist, which I hope we'll talk a little bit about that too, because I just thought about that, about going and seeing a therapist. So he's seeing a therapist, but in the midst of him dealing with his issues, he has his brothers, which are not his biological brothers, but they're his friends. We all have a group of friends that we hang around. Yeah, we call them the brothers, that we hang around, and each of them, bring a certain aspect to their brother relationship and everything like that. So the story is about all of them coming together on a weekly, daily basis, because they go and play basketball together. They go and hang out sometimes after work together and everything like that. But then they also deal with each other's issues that they're having in their relationships, and we'll talk more about that as we go along.
Yeah.
But it revolves around them, and then one particular brother, Shamar Moore. Y'all can see
you
him.
you can't see me. Wait, you can't see
now.
me?
No, I can now. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
you're fine. You're good.
Okay, I wasn't sure if something happened. Okay, I just saw you. Okay, go ahead.
But Shamar Moore's character is decides he's getting married. So the brothers come together and they want to throw him a party and everything like that. But the story is about all of them and the issues that they have with their relationship, each of their relationships, and then how they deal with them, how they've dealt with them. And then, like I said, Morris Chestnut's character, which is his name, is actually Jackson. Jackson, with his kind of issue with getting married, or a dream that he has. He can't figure out why he's having a dream. And in the movie, he figures out.
All right, let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. Yeah, okay, so let's pause right there. Let's pause right there because we're going to talk about all of that. So, The Brothers, it was released March 23rd, 2001. At the box office, it made $27.96 million USDA dollars, and it was starring Shamar Moore, Bill Bellamy, D.L. Hughley, Morris Chestnut, Clifton Powell, Tamala Jones, Gabrielle Union, Jennifer Lewis, Tatiana Ali, Vanessa Bell Calloway as the therapist, as Leroy was saying. So this was a blockbuster all-star cast of Black folks as we break down classic Black films. And there were so many different taglines. As I talk about, I'll just start off with one of my favorite taglines that I use for years is miracles and blessings, miracles and blessings. And that was Tamala talking to the crowd, talking to the girls when she left the shower. She left the mother's house and she was in the car like miracles and blessings. My girlfriend and I used to say that all the time. I remember going to see this movie at the movie theater with my good friend Pam. And that was the one that we had the insider like miracles and blessings. So it was a good movie. It was good to see Black men as the lead. And it happened to have two of my favorites, which is D.L. Hughley and Bill Bellamy. I love them all, but those are my boys right there. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to see that. And of course, who doesn't want to see Morris Chestnut? Duh, so I was like, okay, this is good, because the other movies that were coming out in the 90s prior to this were about maybe relationships, like interpersonal relationships with men and women, romantic between men and women, or the ladies, like we talked about Waiting to Exhale last week or a couple weeks ago, talking about those type of movies with all women, or the male-female relationships if there were, Black folks in it. But this is a spotlight on the brothers, Black men, and some of the things that they deal with, whether it's marriage, therapy, rejection, disappointment by their parents, mothers and sons with Bill Bellamy, and hopefully we'll talk about that, and how mothers tend to blame the man that was no good or didn't work out in their life and it trickled down on their child. So it was some funny moments in there, but it was some serious, real moments in the movie Brothers, which came out in 2001. So that's what we're talking about today. Leroy just gave you a synopsis on what the movie was about. I played a clip of one of the scenes when they were talking about the last piece of chicken. And I played that scene because a lot of women were noting. They were like, okay, the last piece of chicken. They were taking notes because they were like, see, if they eat the last morsel, then they ain't feeling you like that. But if they save you the last nibble of bit, that means they're rocking with you and they love you. So a lot of women were talking about that at the time. So that's why I wanted to play that for the gals. So we'll start with that, Leroy. Let's just start with that scene. So is that true? If a man shares his food, then he is in love?
That's Hollywood, y'all. I'm sorry. That's Hollywood. that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood right there. They had to dress it up and put the flowers and all that stuff on there for y'all. But I honestly, I don't necessarily agree with it or believe it. But I think if we sitting, if you with your wife or your significant other and you all are having dinner or whatever, and you got one piece of chicken left on your plate, or the last piece of cake as they had it there, and everything like that. I don't know if too many brothers are seriously thinking about, giving it to their lady, because I mean you're eating, you're both eating, or now I will say this though, in that scene when she talked about the at the scene where we'll get to the one where she eats the cake, where she's looked at towards the end of the movie, where he has the little last piece of cake, and that's after they had the piece of chicken. Now he eats the chicken earlier, which is, I guess, I'm sorry, this is where I should be, where you're talking about where he eats the last piece of chicken, because they were in the house watching the movie, they sitting down, they chilling. It's not like there couldn't be more that could be made or something like that, or that she would be able to have. Yeah, it's a nice gesture, and with, like I said, it sounds good and everything like that. Oh, if he's the last piece of chicken and y'all been sitting there at night, Netflix and chilling and eating and everything like that, and he got one piece of chicken left, and like, oh baby, you want this? No, that's not happening. We eating that chicken. I'm sorry.
Right. So, okay. So that's not true. Now, some men might be like, nah, Leroy, we're going to give her the last piece of chicken. But Leroy already know. We already know. We're going to talk about this on the after show today. We're going to premiere after show, which is going to be on IG after this. But we already know Leroy is like not the traditional type when it comes to certain things. He wants a woman to ask him out. He will feel like he should ask her out, and he feels like he should eat the last morsel if that's what he chooses to do. So,
why you gotta say it like that? Why you gotta say it like that? That's just wrong. Just wrong.
We know that. All right, so let's talk about, and and if you're just tuning in for the first time to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films, classic to us, and some are classic to you. But we jump around. We don't go in the order of the movie. We go into different scenes and talk about different things. The only way that Leroy and I know how to do it is our perspective, and that's what this show is to make you laugh, make you think. And we try to interject real life into these situations, because oftentimes they bring up real life situations, and Leroy and I talk about them. So speaking of a real life situation, let's go to DL and Tamala's characters, where they are married, and Marla Gibbs is the mama who comes to live with them, right? So let's talk about a scene where it comes out that he married her because she was pregnant and not because he wanted to marry her. And then she's withholding certain sexual favors in the relationship, or not knowing how to do it, or is uncomfortable about doing it. So those are two different things. So let's get into their relationship. Then the third thing is the mother-in-law coming to move with them. So now we have getting married because you're pregnant. We have not wanting to do fellatio in the bedroom as a married person. And then we have the mother-in-law coming to move with them. So
Uh-oh, did we lose you, Kendell? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Keep talking.
Hear me?
You got to keep talking.
Hear me? Okay. Did you hear any of that I was saying?
I heard when you were talking about the three different aspects of that scene that you were talking about with the.
Yeah. So okay. And when we're live, things happen. All right. So what you think about one or all three of these in a relationship?
Well, the first one you said was them. What was number one? I know number 2 and 3.
So number one, because someone is pregnant. Second one is
right.
Performing as married people, fellatio, and the struggle. The third one is come in to move in with the married couple.
Yeah. Now, as far as the first one, marrying someone because you got them pregnant, I don't know if that's a good thing, because now I think it's from the movie aspect. I think he cared about her, but I think the her getting pregnant was more of the push to him to get married. Now for him, had she not been pregnant, would they have gotten married? From the way that the movie went, it doesn't seem like it. It seemed like they would have probably just dated each other, and then who knows what would have happened. But I've never agreed with doing that just because I don't think that if you don't really care about somebody, that's going to show, and that does more damage to a child than you actually not marrying someone and everything like that, and you have a relationship with the other parent, and you certainly want to have the relationship with the child, because children can feel that. And that's just like people that say that they stay married because of the children. I've never agreed with that, because it shows them the wrong thing to do. But children can feel that negative energy that you may have, because trust me, if you only with somebody just because they just because you got them pregnant, or you just stand with them because of the kids' sake instead of divorcing, that's going to come out in everything that you do, because you're really not going to be into that person. You're not going to be showing the emotional attachment that goes along with it and everything like that. So I've never been a proponent of that. That's number one, for the getting married just because he got her pregnant. I didn't think that he should have done that, but if we do things, as men and women, we do things what we think is right, and I think that he thought that was the right thing to do, at the time, and you fault him for that, So you think I agree with him stepping up as a man to do that, saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to take care of my responsibility. I love you enough to still marry you, even with and we have this child together, and we'll have lives together. Which leads into the second part, which makes it more difficult, because here you are, DL's character, who chooses to marry this woman because of because he got her pregnant, and then within the marriage, like I just said, that energy wasn't there. That sexual energy wasn't there between them, and from that perspective of of a relationship within a marriage and fellatio, I'm like, come on now, nah.
Because and that's some of the things too that you want to talk about before you get married. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the movie The Brothers. This is more than just a movie on YouTube Live, where we break down classic Black films the only way that we know how, and that's through our opinion and our expertise. So this is a different type of show. It's not a, okay, let's talk about the movie. We go further into coaching, and we go further into real life situations. So when we have DL and Tamala, and they're married, and we're talking about her not wanting to do fellatio, the mother-in-law moving in, and always having that over your head when you discover that someone married you may or maybe or may not, it might be true if, just because you're pregnant, right? So that's going to be an issue in every marriage, right? If those are the three things, that's going to be heavy. So as you, in the movie, you see them going through a separation, they have a child, and then they end up making their way back to each other, which was sweet. So that's where DL plays, because we're talking about the brothers, which are played by Morris Chestnut, Shamar Moore, Bill Bellamy, and DL Hughley, the four brothers. And like Leroy said earlier, they're not biological brothers, they brothers. They're friends, they're homeboys, whatever you want to call them. So now that's DL's side with his personal life. So who should we go to next? Should we go to let's go to Morris Chestnut. And because you talked about him going to therapy. And that was powerful to see that he was going to a therapist, not only a therapist, but a Black woman therapist who was played by Vanessa Bell Calloway, right? So you have this Black man in 2001, because now it's kind of common for people to seek therapy and go to therapy, right? People are talking about it more. But back in 2001, people were going to therapy, but nobody was really talking about it, especially a Black man seeking therapy. So he goes to therapy. And what does he talk about, Leroy, in therapy? Because you touched on it a little earlier.
Well, he talked about the marriage. He was having the dream. He was having this dream and he couldn't figure out why he was having this dream, and the issues that he was having evidently with marriage. And, because he was having this dream about a woman in a wedding dress with a gun pointed at him. So
he was afraid to get married.
So he's trying to figure that out. And the therapist is asking him, of course, certain things about relationships and the last relationship he had. How long was it? What went wrong with it? All of those, kind of things to make you self-reflect, so that he could try and have an understanding of what he needed to do in order to be able to move forward and everything like that. So it's something that I thought that it was great that the movie brought out, because we should, I think many of us need to, if we don't have an understanding of our relationships, if we can't figure things out, and we feel as if we do need to talk to someone just to be able to have someone to help us figure out the pieces.
Yes.
And not just your homeboys, or not just your homegirls or girlfriends, to be able to sit and tell you what you want to hear and everything like that, as opposed to a professional that can assist you in being able to, like I said, put all of the pieces on the table, and then figure out what the issue is, or why you're doing certain things, and what you can do to avoid other things and everything like that. So I thought that was a nice aspect of the movie that they put in there.
I agree. And then also with Morris Chestnut, Tatiana Ali played his sister, and Jennifer Lewis played his mother, and Clifton Powell played his father. So he had the dynamics there where he was afraid to get married. He has his parents who got a divorce because the father cheated. That was what was said, and then later we find out something different. But that he was cheating, so that he was trying to deal with two parents who had separated, and that was his image of marriage. And that's something to be spoken about. He's going to therapy because he's afraid to get married. And sometimes our families of origin, when we see the parents get married or not, or divorced or not, or separated or not, that does influence and affect the way that you may think about a situation. So he had a little animosity towards his father already. And then the twist is that he meets Gabrielle Union as a photographer, and she meets him, and then they have this one night stand, or they jump into bed like the first day, and something just fell, and they have this whole thing going on. And then later he finds out that, or thinks that, Gabrielle Union's character had a relationship with his father, and he finds out on the low. He didn't know, they didn't know that was the father until they saw each other, and they tried to ignore it. Gabrielle and Clifton's character, they tried to ignore it. And then he finds out by accident. So this is what happens too with women. If she slept with him on the first night, Mars Chestnut, so automatically now she becomes this hoe, and you slept with me on, no, you gave it to my daddy because he got more than both of us. You know what I'm saying? So then you have that dynamic. Like, can you be completely vulnerable in a relationship and go home with somebody that first day without being judged? Because then if something else comes up, then automatically you're in all of that. And now slut shaming and all of that, it wouldn't go down that way. So what you think about that? The father seeing the Gabrielle Union and them playing it off like they don't know each other, and then all of that comes out.
Well, I mean, that's a tough one though. I can understand from the father's perspective and even Gabrielle Union, because they didn't seem to sleep together, or I think it was just like they kind of went on a couple of dates or something like that. Didn't work out, or it didn't flourish into anything. So it's like something like that. Like, no, I wouldn't have said anything. I wouldn't have said anything either. And now as it came up, you kind of clear it up or clean it up. You say, no, it wasn't what you think it is. We went out on a couple of dates, nothing really happened, and you move on. That type of thing. Some people may see it a totally different way, where it's like, nah, if you go on one date, you can't, you can't date him, can't see him, nothing like that or whatever, especially my daddy. How you gonna go out with my daddy and now you gonna go out with me? That type of thing. So,
because your daddy the one that taught you, so your daddy gonna be smoother.
So I mean, I like I said, I do agree with them, not saying anything, and I think like they said, look, we both moved, we moved on. We didn't think it was relevant to what you all, what they were doing. And like Clifton Powell's character said, I wasn't trying to mess up your flow or, kind of get in the way of you pursuing this relationship with this young lady. And it wasn't like it had just happened. So this was, that had been, some years ago.
Right.
So it wasn't like it was recent or anything like that either too. So, I just saw it like that.
Yeah.
But that had to be that would be an awkward, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I love the fact that, going back to that scene that I played in the beginning and we talked about, I love the fact that Jennifer Lewis, in her fabulousness and her way, is trying to teach the young girls some game. She got all the girls gathered around at the shower, and she trying to teach them some game.
She everybody's mama or auntie.
What'd you say?
She played. I said she always plays somebody's auntie or mama in a movie. I thought that
she looks beautiful in that movie, and I love the fact. Yeah, it was good. All right, so speaking of speaking of wanting to get married, let's talk about Shamar Moore's character wanting to get married at first and proposed and all of that. And can you hear me? Leroy seems frozen. I'm not sure. Can you hear me, Leroy? Oh, this is the first time we have a frozen. Leroy? Leroy?
I think she might be frozen.
Leroy? Can you, okay, can you hear me? Am I frozen? Yeah, I can't tell because I can see me moving and you look frozen. So I don't know. Let's see, he's coming back. All right, so I don't know if you can see me or hear me. I'm trying to look at it at the same time to see what's going on. This is the first time that's happened, but that's all right. We're gonna keep this train going and see what's working out. I'm just testing it. Okay, I see me, so maybe he'll come back on. But we're talking about The Brothers, which came out March 23rd, 2001, and it is about the Black men and the dynamics they have with love and relationships and all of that good stuff. Let me make sure, see if Leroy is coming back. Okay, there he is. Let's see if he's coming back. I'm sure he'll come back. But yes, about love and relationships and the issues that they may have with their mom or significant others, or at just making sure. Sorry, this happens when it's live. This has never happened on this show. We've been doing this show for a couple of months. Let me just see if Leroy is able to get back in. Let's see. All right. So I'll just keep coming up. There he is. There he is. I was still talking at first. I was like, well, where's Leroy?
Okay.
Are you there, caller? Are you there?
Yeah,
yes.
know, right?
Yes. I was trying to keep it trying to keep the train going. Then I was like, let me look to see. So I reached out. So if you're watching live, our apologies. This is Wi-Fi. This is virtual. This is the world we're living in. But all of these weeks that we've done this is the first time that's happened. So I guess that's a good track record.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So we were talking about Shamar Moore and how he was getting married, right? And then all of a sudden he gets scared.
You skipped over, or did I miss? You skipped over the part about Jennifer Lewis's character talking with the young ladies, talking with the women.
Yeah.
Go back
you didn't hear any of that? Okay, because I was talking it, so you probably missed it. All right, so like I'll go over that again. So I was talking about Jennifer Lewis and her passing that wisdom and knowledge down to the young women and telling them about game and telling them about men. And that's what a lot of older women should do with younger women. Let me tell you this. But it's not going to go the way, obviously, that they might think. But just giving them some insight on relationships and love and some of the pitfalls that you might see, or you be able to recognize certain things. So I thought that was pretty cool that she did it in her Jennifer Lewis way and said, let me put y'all on game. This is how it goes. I love that. And I think that all older women and older men should teach the young ones about the game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We have to. It's our responsibility to do that, because we had it. We had the older generation that did that to us. They poured into us to teach us some of the things that we got, that lessons that we needed to learn. Now, I think every generation goes through thinking that I already know everything, so you can't tell me nothing. Which I think we all find out. Hey, okay, yeah, they were right when they were telling us about this, that, and the other. So, that generation behind us has to learn. You just hope that they take just the information and the knowledge that we do give to them, and it resonates with them, in some kind of way, and that they actually learn from it and everything like that. So
absolutely. So Absolutely. It definitely needs to be done. So I'm going to go back to Shamar Moore. You know,
Uh-huh.
he's almost, I think Shamar Moore seems like he's the main character to me.
Okay.
Because it all surrounds around, I mean, and maybe they're just an ensemble cast and maybe no one, you
Right.
know, is. I
Right.
know you were saying Marsh Chestnut, but I think all of them are so poignant in the
Right.
movie.
Right.
But I think I just say it was kept coming up, you know, and all of that. But him not wanting to, he wanted to get married and propose, and then got cold feet and didn't want to get married. So then, you know, she came in that wedding dress, you know, coming like, "What you mean you don't want to get married?" And that whole scene. So, do you think that a man is he's ready, and then sometimes he could feel like he's not ready and he made a mistake? And how would you handle that situation?
Well, I think both both people, I guess, when it comes to marriage like that, they get what they call the cold feet, type of thing, where they start to think because it's because of the nervousness, and
Mm-hmm.
um the how heavy that is, how heavy a
Mm-hmm.
decision that you make.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're deciding to spend the rest of your life with this person.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty deep and serious decision that you make,
Yeah.
and it makes you reflect on, do I love this person enough? Do they love me?
Yeah.
How do we build this life together, and all of those things that come along with it and everything like that. And I think that's what happened to Shamar Moore's character. He was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Terry, because she was
yeah,
like,
Terry,
Terry.
right.
You know, I was like, whoo.
Yeah, and he was like, no, man, don't get after me, because
Yeah.
I'm nervous. But I thought the foul part was that he called and left a message on an answer machine, though. I was like, nah, bro, that's not a
And
that's
said that
not a
he want to
that,
get
that's not
married.
yeah, that's not something you do. That's not something you do over the phone. You need to have that conversation in person if you decide not to marry somebody. But
That's why she came over there with that wedding
e-
dress and
e-
gun.
exactly, she was like, nah, this is not gonna happen like that. You know, and she was like, and that was, and that was an important aspect, I think, of the movie too, because we talked about the different conversations that we need to have in communication with Terry and his fiance.
Mm-hmm.
They had the conversation about guns, because he didn't like the fact of her having the gun in the house. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
I told you, I don't.
Because what did she do for a living? What did she do for a
She was a
living?
was she a cop? Was she a policeman?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like you having it in the house. And she was like, I'm sorry, I was at the gun range and I just haven't had time to put it away. But she was at his house, though, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they were living together, and she brought it with her, of course, because she was
Yeah.
at the gun range. But when you have, and even if that conversation that they had, and then even the conversation, like you were saying, that DL and his wife should have had, those are important things that people need to look at having, um, before you get married, so that you have an understanding of what the relationship is, the things that you like, things that you may not like, those things that you are apprehensive about. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
a serious thing. Having a gun in the house,
Yeah. It
that's the
is.
conversation that needs to be made, that needs to be
Mm-hmm.
had. Hey, you're gonna have that
Mm-hmm.
weapon in the house, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's serious. That's
Yeah.
serious, and everything like that.
Yep.
So you have to make sure that you have those conversations, so that there are no missteps or anything like that, and you know what you're getting into. Now, I'm sure
Yeah.
Terry never thought that he would have somebody roll up on him that was Bill Bellamy's house. Remember
Uh-huh.
that
Yep.
she came to,
Yep.
that she would roll up to the house in a wedding dress and with a toting
With a
gun.
gun. She
you
was
know,
like, Terry. I was like, woo.
so those are things that you have to sit. Well, let's talk from this perspective, the mental state of men and women when it comes to relationships, because you got some
Mm,
crazies
mm,
like his
mm.
fiance was,
Instead
where
of
she
just
was.
taking it on the chin, like, okay, he don't
And she
want
was like,
me.
yeah, I mean, but it's hurtful and all of those things. But
Yeah.
at the same time, You can't be going around, toting a gun at somebody because they tell you they're not gonna
Yeah.
marry. That's
It's
not
the rejection
that's not healthy. You're not a healthy person. Now she was one of the ones.
that people don't know how to handle. No.
Yeah, she was one of the ones that needed to see the therapist too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got to know, like, it's okay. And who likes rejection? Nobody likes rejection, right? But then you still have to have that emotional stability and to really know your value and worth and say, you know what, I'm hurt. And I'm not ignoring your feelings and being hurt and feeling rejected and all of those things when somebody has to marry you and then they say, I changed my mind. Of course, you're going to go through a plethora of emotions, but still being able to say, and I want women to get to the point where they can emphatically, his loss, that's how he feels, and that takes a level of maturity and it takes a level of self-love to really be like, well, whatever, because anybody's natural emotion is going to be like, oh, how dare he, and be hurt about it. But it's better to know prior to getting married than to get married, because I would rather that be the case than to get married and a month later he's like, oops, I made a mistake, when you're thinking everything is all gravy. So I think that, doing it on the phone, that probably fueled up that had bubbling in her whole system. Like, Dad, you don't even respect me enough to even sit down and have the conversation. So I think all of that adrenaline and all of that hurt and pain had her with that wedding dress on with that gun.
Yeah, absolutely. She was showing up in her feelings with that one. So yeah, definitely.
Cool. I don't want to act like I agree with that. Right. All right. So the last one we want to talk about, and I saved Bill Bellamy for last. Love Bill Bellamy, but I saved him for last because I think that his thing was very complicated and very
You think it was complicated?
Views. No, his mom. I'm talking about the dynamics. So the reason why I say complicated is because that mother and son first talk about he was dating Angel Brooks's character, and it didn't work out, and he was the one. And he was dogging Black women and said, that's why, I want a white woman. So that already got sisters' blood boiling, right?
Yeah,
and then to find out, well, y'all all alike. And she said, just because I'm white, you thought like basically that I was still dynamic of, if a Black woman hurts you, then you automatically want to go to a white woman and not really evaluate the situation and figure out what's going on and how you had a role or a part to play in that. But then why I say complicated, and I say to him, because oftentimes Black men, not oftentimes, sometimes Black men have that self-hate because of their relationship with their mother.
Right.
The relationship with their mother outlines relationships they have with women. If it's a healthy relationship with their mom or unhealthy relationship with, if their Black mom showed them certain things or aunties or grandmoms showed them things, then they might blanket it on all Black women. And the minute that Black woman things, then they're like, see, that's why I don't date y'all. That's why I got a white woman. And you think that a white woman will be different, but it's the healing that you have to have within yourself. That's why I was saying that was complicated. So when he has the brother in mom's house and and the mom just, showing anything, almost acting like, he doesn't exist, but he does, or treating the sons differently, and the relationship and the tension that Bill Bellamy has with his mother. And how he was like, you don't even hug me, you don't even do, and had that conversation. I thought that was very vulnerable. And I think it shown because they were just existing as mother and son, and he was feeling certain ways, but he didn't. And Brian was Bill Bellamy's character. And it came out that the issues and problems the mother had with his dad is why she treated him that way. And that happens a lot. So you want to talk about that? And that's why I say the most complicated. I don't want to say complicated, complex, I will say for last. So let's talk about that.
No, I mean, I think you were right on point with that, and his relationship with his mother kind of dictated the relationship that he had with the women that he had in his life. Think about it. He had the one that was a judge that that he had, wasn't feeling or whatever, and she was not happy about it, and he was
Right.
like,
When she
and
came
it
into
was
that diner or that
right,
restaurant.
yeah, and even the when he was at his house and somebody had marked up his car and everything like that. The one lady that approached him when him and the white young lady were getting ready to get into the car, or he was getting ready to get into his car one time, and he kind of walked around and walked away from her. So you could see that he had been in relationships that he had either done the woman wrong, or was just decided, hey,
Like a woman, some type of womanizer in a
yeah,
sense.
and he just didn't want to be no longer be in a relationship with them. Almost like Eddie Murphy's character in Boomerang, where he would sleep with him, and then that he was done with him, that type of thing. So that stemmed from the relationship that he had with his mother, because he didn't get the affection, he didn't get the what do you call it,
The
he didn't get the
nurturing.
affection. Yeah, even nurturing, but the approval of his mother, so to speak, where he felt that, where the
That
mother told
love,
him,
that
yeah,
connection.
yeah, that love and connection from her. So he couldn't give a woman that he got into a relationship with a connection, that love too, because he had never received it. That was a big thing that he said, Mama, you've never hugged me. When's the last time? Well, he didn't say you never hugged me. He said, when's the last time you hugged me? And so you think about that. Think
And she
about
was
that.
hard.
Yeah. So when you think about that and I'll talk about it from a male perspective, and you can talk about it from a female perspective. When you don't get that love and, like you said, nurturing from a parent, whether it's your mother or your father, how that plays into the relationships that you get into, and how you treat those relationships. Because to me, I've seen that direct correlation with it, and we, some people don't want to deal with that aspect of it, or talk about it because of themselves. But I think that that's something that's real, and I thought that was something that was real in this movie. You could see that with Bill Bellamy's character, that
Yeah.
he was just,
Yeah.
even to the point when what was it, Morris Chestnut and I think it was Shamar Moore, when they go over to Bill Bellamy's place, and he, the place is all jacked up and messed up, and he's like, yeah, well, my maid quit, and he's like, no, you slept with her, didn't you? And he was like, oh yeah,
Right. Right.
he did sleep with her. So you could see that his relationships with women was very complex, like you said, and it was one of those of a womanizer type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of men, and I'm not a man, so I'm not going to act like I am, never have been. But a lot of men that have issues with their mom, and they're afraid to commit or to be completely vulnerable, is because they didn't see that was suppressed in some type of way, or they have a complicated relationship with the first woman in their lives, their mothers, whether they raised them, whether the grandmother raised them or the aunts raised them, or whether they were put up for a job, whatever it is. And those are just like the women with daddy issues, having issues. Men have mommy issues. Women have daddy issues. Women have mommy issues. Men have daddy issues. Just the issues with your parents. That does trickle down sometimes in the relationship of that same sex as that parent. So, for instance, Bill Bellamy with his mom, and a woman with daddy issues with their men. If they didn't get the proper nurturing and nourishment that they needed from that parent, that's what tends to happen. And when he acknowledged that, and even with his friends, they were like, they saw it. So I found that was interesting, and that's good to have like brothers like that are riding in your corner and saying like, yes, I can talk about, we went to therapy, I can talk about, I'm having these dreams, I can talk about I don't want to get married. I can talk about, man, she was with my daddy. I can talk about, they were saying these hoes, and what they want, like DMX, what they really want from a, you know, RIP to my boy DMX for sure. I
Yeah.
definitely wanna say that was my boy. And speaking of Bill Bellamy, that's DMX too, with the childhood trauma and it not being healed, and it plays out in your life in many different forms. And that happens with many of us. My podcast episode that I did for this week, Shine with Kendell Lenice. So wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to that. But I talk about DMX and childhood trauma. So that's what I'm talking about on that latest podcast episode. But that's what thing rape for big T's and little T's, big traumas and little traumas. And you decide which one it is for you, or it decides for you. But with Bill Bellamy, that is like a traumatic way when they grow up and not have a warped sense of reality when it comes to women. So, I mean, I know you have a great relationship with your mom, Leroy, and gave you that you were able to be in like a healthy relationship, because I think that's so important.
No, it really is. I mean, and I've been, I've been blessed to have a healthy relationship with both my mother and my father when he was here. It wasn't always like that with my dad though. And I looked at, Morris Chestnut's character and his relationship with his father, because there was on Morris Chestnut's part, there was some resentment in him because of the way that he felt like, his father should have been, and the way that he treated his mother. And I felt that same way. It was the same thing that I went through with same thing that I went through with my father. It was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you done? When you learn things as you get older as a child, and you be like, really? And that hurts, because like you said, these are the first people that you know in your life. And you take what they give you and the things that they pour into you and what you see, and it carries over into your relationships. And I know one of the things for me was in seeing that and going through that, I honestly, I never wanted to treat a woman the way that I'd seen sometimes my father treat other women, and had treated and found that I knew that I treated my mother. So I went the opposite way with that, where it was like, no, I don't want to be that person. I because I have a, like you talked about the relationship that I have with my mother and everything like that, and it was always, that was how I learned to be able to treat women, because you have an understanding of, and I had two other sisters too, so I grew up with all women around me. have that male, and I didn't have any brothers.
So that gave you a level of sensitivity.
Yeah, it really does. It really does, because you have you have the sisters, and you see their relationships that they get into, and you don't want the dudes that they get into mistreating them and everything like that, and you see some of the issues that they had to go through and all those things. So you're just like, nah, that's not who I knew. For me, that was always my thing. That's not who I'm trying to be. That's not what my personality and who I came to be as a person wanted to be. And I honestly, I've never been that way. I mean, I'd never wanted to mistreat my girlfriends, even from high school, college, and everything that you think on. And even the relationship, you just always, to me, it was always treating them how I wanted to be treated, and then how they should expect to be treated as women. You know what I mean? So that's important. And that those relationships with your parents really do affect that. I think they really do affect that.
Yeah. So that's a good point. You made some good points. So let's talk about Morris Chestnut Jackson's parents, right? So they were together. They had the relationship. You know, he had the she called her a stank hole. Where he had the girlfriend and brought her to the party and she couldn't speak English. Remember? I think she spoke French or something. And she called her a stank hole.
That was hilarious.
Bring this new woman to our child's occasion, right? And just that band, you know, Jennifer Lewis's mom, as the mom, wanting, like, she can tell she's still, you know, loved, you know, her husband, even though they weren't together, or they were separated and he started dating. Right. But you can tell that she, you know, she's still, because she was still bothered. You know, if she was unbothered, then you know the difference in that. And then getting to the place where, this is the thing too. So the kids, Marsh Chestnut and Tatiana Lee's characters, they don't know what's going on in adults and the grown folks' business, right? They don't know why their parents, and I think that a lot of times children of those parents shouldn't be privy to what went on in that marriage. You know, oftentimes parents make the mistake in letting their kids too much into their marriage. I'm not saying that you lie to the children, but they don't need to be in your marriage with the intricate details. They can know the facts and that's it. But so that's why Marsh Chestnut really didn't know. Like, Tatiana Ali's character was not as, you know, as hurt or impacted like Marsh Chestnut's. And that's like, maybe because he's the oldest, maybe because it was the protection of the mother or the boy. He was the boy, like you were talking about. But they didn't know. So then once they find out, when he was like, oh yeah, you seeing him again? Because they start dating again. And then Marsh Chestnut is mad. Well, did you know what he did? And she's like, I know what happened. You know, she breaks it down and let him know it wasn't even like that. When she's telling him that Gabrielle's character is the right woman for him. And, you know, she confides in the mother. So what's her name? Denise. So Denise was Gabrielle Union. She confided in the mother. And so the mother already knew. The father had told her. Gabrielle Union's character had told her. And Jackson, Marsh Chestnut, was the only one that didn't know. So his mother, and in all his rage, remember that? His mother had to break it down and say, no, that's not what happened. And basically go after your girl, you know, and we're back together, and, you know, and love finds itself in a sense. So what did you think about that? And what was one of your favorite scenes in this movie?
Well, one of my favorites was actually the basketball court scene where they call the brothers together as the women do. Y'all do that too.
In the bathroom. We do it in the bathroom. They do it in the court.
Where you got to get everybody. You got to get everybody. Well, this one was everybody was gonna meet at the basketball court, which I thought was really cool. That was a cool. Well, that's a man thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's meet at the basketball court. We gonna talk some things out. We gonna hash this thing out. And so they all start to talk about their problems, and they take the shot at the free throw line, and it's their opportunity to be able to talk about what their issue is. And and when each of them talks about what their issue is, two of them, of course, you know, kind of ring out. D.L. Hughley's character, when he talks about they was like, oh, that's some irreconcilable differences for you right there. So that's one of those lines. That's one of those lines in the movie right there. You know, so that one was one. And then of course when Jackson, Morris Chestnut's character, when he talks about Gabrielle Union Denise dating his father. They were like, whoa. It was like, oh.
Right.
You know,
right.
That's probably my best. That's the best thing that I like, the one that I like out of it. Yeah. And then the other one is when Bill Bellamy does his poem. when he does the poem. It was like, oh Lord, here we go. Because Bill Bellamy's character in this movie, he's that one dude, and I know I got that one female. We got that one brother that's in the group.
The wild card.
Can't stand him. Right. That's the wild card. You can't stand him.
Like in Love Jones.
Right.
Yep. His same
exact
character
same thing.
Love Jones.
Yep. Same kind of character. It's just like you hate him, but he's always hanging, he's always hanging around. He's always around. Y'all be like, and he's gonna say that he's the one that's gonna say the craziest things. He's gonna say the most outlandish, stuff but he's still one of your brothers. You know what I mean? Like
He gonna
yep,
say
that's
it
him.
like it is, or like he thinks it is. But
Right,
what I do like,
exactly.
about Bill Bellamy's character, because he was on my nerves. But what I did like about it is the affection and the love that he gave his brother, and trying to get his brother out
Absolutely.
of the situation with the mom. And he didn't want him to
Right.
feel what he felt when he was that age, and trying to take responsibility for the brother, and really being able to have that hard conversation with his mom and tell her the real
Yeah.
deal is strong. And that's the thing too, with some Black women, sometimes they're too strong for their own good. And that's how his mother was, that mean, that look. And I remember I used to tell my kids, I was like, you ain't going to be walking around here looking like no angry Black woman in those stereotypes. So whatever is going on with your face, straighten it up. I would tell my kids that. I was like, you ain't going to be looking. And they'd be like, nothing's wrong. And I know that because I've been walking, years ago, and a guy would be like, dang, sister, it ain't that bad. And I'm just walking with a regular face. So what that told me years ago is people are looking at you, and people, you're giving something off that might not even be, you might be introspective, like how I'm gonna get that bill paid, what I'm gonna do, and not even thinking, but people are watching. But with my kids, I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna be, I'm like, no mean mugging, no angry Black woman face, no stereotypes here, but his mother had that. Like his mother had that growl and grimace, and I hate men, I hate, that whole stereotype where Black women are not looked at as human, as delicate. They don't believe our pain is real when we go to the hospital, and the disparities that Black women go through because of that type of thing, that type of look, that type of meanness, that type of abrasiveness. When inside you're gum and you're and it's just the pain and the that you've gone through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and that's true. And I think a lot of times we as, I guess, as individuals, we don't realize what we're carrying uh, outwardly within our faces, and and we because we show our expression, what we may feel on the inside is kind of expressed on our faces. And I know my cousin,
Yeah.
she's written this book called Why You So Mean, and it came from a
Mm.
question that a gentleman asked her while they were on the subway, because I guess she kind of had this persona, and he was just like, "Why
Mm.
y'all so mean?" And we may be doing it subconsciously, because it's just us. We not even paying attention to what would our facial expressions and everything like that. But it just shows you that we do carry, sometimes we carry what we're feeling on the inside on our faces. And I think Bill Bellamy's his mom's character in there, that was her protective shield because of all of the hurt that she had been through, where she wasn't going to she had been hurt so much, and so, I guess, so much or whatever, that she couldn't even give affection to Bill
Yep.
Bellamy or his brother.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he said that to her. He said, Mama, I'm going to take him with me when he's old enough to
Yep.
decide on his own, so he doesn't
Yep.
have to be in that, like you said, be
Yep.
in that household where he doesn't feel love.
Yep.
And that hurt his mother to hear that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because she was
But
like,
sometimes you got to tell it.
yeah, she had to come to that reality. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this to my children,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a deep scene in,
Deep.
in that in that movie,
Mm-hmm.
when they had that
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And this whole movie,
Because a lot of Black single mothers are just trying to survive,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the one common, to me, the one common thread that I think that this movie taught me was about communication, how you
Mm-hmm.
communicate. DL communicating with his wife, Shamar Moore communicating with his fiance, Morris Chestnut communicating with his therapist and communicating with Denise, and then Shamar
and just
Moore.
asking Denise, communication, like just asking her the question and believing and having a conversation. Yes.
Yep. So that's to me the common thread with the movie that I thought that the movie kind of brought out to me was how are you communicating, and it touched different aspects of our lives. Think about it. The married person, the engaged guy, the guy that has some relationship issues type of thing with Morris Chestnut, and then Bill Bellamy, the player, type of character and everything like that. So I like the way that this movie was written, and the different issues that it addressed. And like I said, there was the. I mean, like we said, I don't know if it was a main character or not, but you had each of the brothers had a different aspect of a relationship that they were dealing with. So
That's so
I really
true.
like that. Yeah.
And you know what? You make a good point. That's so true. They each had a particular relationship that they were dealing with. That's a great point, because you have, like you said, you have Bill Bellamy, and the real issue was the relationship with his mom.
Exactly.
You have DL in the real relationship with his wife. You have Morris Chestnut in the relationship with Denise, but also his father.
Right.
And that's really, when you think about it, that's what it is. And with life, it's about relationships and how you deal and how you heal. And certain relationships that you have in your previous life or the relationship affect the current different ways. And a key point, because we're never going to be in this life without some type of relationship.
Exactly.
And how do we deal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, man, how important was it for you to see Black men, 4 Black leads, to have a movie called The Brothers? Like, how did that, or did you even think about that then?
No, it was very much on my mind and the guys that I hung out with, because this is what we talked about. This is 2001. That was 2001. So I was in college at the time, and we would have conversations about, that we didn't see the movies that were out. We were playing, the Black men were either playing drug dealers, playing pimps, or some kind of negative character in that
stereotypical
80s.
role.
Yeah, stereotypical roles. So when Boomerang came out with Eddie Murphy, and you had Love Jones that came out around the same time, and then you bring The Brothers, which was I said, four professional men. I forgot what DL's what his job was because I think I don't think he was an entrepreneur. I think he was an entrepreneur. I don't know what Terry did.
Yeah.
Morris Chestnut was a professional as well. He was a doctor. He was a doctor.
Yeah.
And then Bill Bellamy was an attorney. So you had these 4 Black professional men that I thought seeing that on the screen at that time. That's powerful. I thought that it was, and this, if I'm not mistaken, this was probably one of the first times that you saw that, that I can remember.
They were all professional, right?
Yeah, they were all professional Black men. So, I think that was very important. That was very important for me and the guys that I hang around, because those were the careers and things that we were thinking about doing, in our lives. Hey, what kind of jobs we wanted and careers. So to see that on the screen and on the big screen and everything like that was very important. It was very important.
Yeah. And I want to read what the rollout was. The Brothers follows the hilarious path of 4 African-American men as they take on love, sex, friendship, and 2 of the life's most terrifying prospects: commitment and honesty. Lifelong friends banded together to weather love's innate terrors and occasional triumphs in this brazenly comic yet painfully truthful exploration of the battle between sexes, amidst the career track, basketball, and bar hopping. The brothers love women, as many as possible, but a shocking revelation tests their friendship. That's a lot in one paragraph. That's powerful if you listen to that. So they and I just want to repeat this: African American men, as they take on love, we talked about that, sex, we talked about that, and of course the friendship. But the terrifying, this says, prospects of commitment and honesty. So is that a terrifying prospect of commitment and honesty for a man?
Well, and see, you asking the wrong guy, because I've never been terrified of commitment. I've never been terrified of being honest.
Okay.
But you do.
Well, with some men that you talk to, that you speak to,
you do have some men that are, because, and I'll say it like this, that they do have problem with commitment and honesty, but they have the issue, and brothers, I'm gonna hurt y'all, because of the miseducation of manhood. The miseducation of what we've been taught ever since we were little boys. Yay high, we've been taught that men don't cry. We're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to, as the movie we watched, Coming to America, sow your royal oats. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be the player that Bill Bellamy's character plays in here and everything. Like, those are things where in our community, the guy that is looked at as the most guy is the one that has the most women, or who has gained the most women. But you flip that script on the female's perspective. What is it taught in our community? That she's a she's a hoe, and she's fast, as our parents and grandmama, she's called
fast tail. She's a fast tail gal.
They would call them that. So that commitment and being honest, and the honesty aspect of it comes from, hey, I'm going to play the game. I got to, in order for me to get the women, I got to play the game, and I got to lie to them. I got to tell them what I think they want to hear, or I got to, since I'm running game, because I got this woman over this side of town, I got that woman over that side of town, and I got this one uptown, this one downtown, all those things. So I got to keep those things juggling, and in order for me to be able to do that, I got to tell all of the lies. I got to tell all these lies, and I can't be honest. I'm not going to be honest about that. And even if I do have feelings for her, I can't tell her that I got feelings for her, because that would break the quote unquote man code. That would break the man code and show that I'm vulnerable and everything like that. So that's why they can say that they have the issue with commitment and honesty. That's, to me, that's how I would define that, with them saying
got it. Yeah. So the last line says, the brothers love women, of course, as many as possible. We talked about that. But a shocking revelation tests their friendship. Do you know what the shocking revelation they were talking about? What do you think that they were talking about?
Well,
what's the shocking revelation?
Well, I think it had to do with, if I'm not mistaken, with Morris Chestnut's character, and
I think
him,
so, yeah,
and him understanding, I guess, why he was afraid to get married. And then, like you said,
so maybe he was the star of the movie then.
Yeah. And I say that he was the star because, one, it started off with him, and it started off with his dream. So throughout the whole movie, you're trying to figure out, okay, what's his issue? What issue did he have, and all of those things. So I looked at it. I looked at it from that perspective. As far as him, him, and then even when he got into the relationship with Denise,
because they show more of his life. So that probably you're probably right with his parents, and they show more of him. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I think that's that coming into that, and then of course him finding out about that the woman that you catch feelings for has been involved with your father. That'll throw a wrench in any program.
Yeah. So what was the revelation?
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it.
You go ahead and say it. What you mean?
No, I was going to say
unless you honesty.
No, and say unless you did. So.
Oh. Right. So,
but those are the things that's what I think that they were talking about when they say that they come into the, the understanding
So the
of,
revelation is
the
about him
revelation.
like
Yeah.
being like, it's okay to fall in love. It's
Right.
okay to be vulnerable. And,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's okay to, so because they ended up, him and Gabrielle Union, Denise and Jackson ended up being together. So
Right.
just saying that that's okay. And you can be the manly man and go through this. But the
Right.
revelation is, guess what? Love is great. It
Yeah.
could happen. You can fall right into it, even with a one
Mhm.
night stand, so to speak, or whatever. So yeah. So this was good, Leroy, and everybody. If you're tuning in live, we're gonna go right on over right after this to IG Live for about 30 minutes, and we're gonna talk about what men and women really want. We're just gonna have that conversation to
Yeah,
to to
buddy.
see. We're gonna go for about 30 minutes over there. But thank you all for tuning in to of more than just a movie, classic big in the middle. Go through it and go through the rest of the seven. We talked about Love Jones, Love and Basketball, Boomerang, The Best Man, Coming to America, New, and now The Brothers. So we don't even know what we're going to talk about next week. Will it be Poetic Justice? Will it be How Stella Got a Groove Back? Will it be Soul Food, Brown Sugar? We don't know. It could be none of those and something totally different. But every Wednesday we are here 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube to talk about the classic Black films. I'm here always with my Leroy Mckenzie Jr. What you got? You got any last words you want to say before we head on to IG?
No, I just think that hopefully what we do here is we give people different perspectives on the movies, and they can take these movies and actually, kind of think about them, from this different perspective, and apply them to, to their everyday lives. Because like you said, this movie, The Brothers, was about communication, and look at how you communicate with, with your significant other, with how you communicate with your parents, how you communicate with your friends, the people that are in your circle.
Yeah,
How do you communicate with them,
yeah,
and everything like that. So hopefully, they got some good stuff
yeah,
hanging away from you.
yeah. And don't be afraid to seek therapy. Don't be afraid to work out
Yes.
issues that you have with your family, your parents. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And most importantly, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. That's where the best relationships are cultivated of any kind, right? So last week I had on Leroy's shirt. Today I have one on representing my latest project, which is my personal journey of peace, a 30-day guided journal workbook that's available on Amazon. 80 pages of goodness. Everybody needs that piece of peace. Even if you have it, let me just say, first of all, this book is not for anybody who is perfect or claims to be. This is for people who are on a journey to keep your peace or to discover or rediscover your peace. If you got it all together, then this book ain't for you. But if you want to continuously evolve and grow and find your personal peace or rediscover it, this is for you. It is available on Amazon.com right now. My personal journey of peace. You can just search my name, Kendell Lenice, in the search box on Amazon, and the book will come up. But it gets better. So the first 25 people who purchase the book will be entered in a drawing for a free gift. And also the price of this includes a free class. So in this price, it's a My Personal Journey of Peace workshop. And I have all the dates on my website, livingtruelivingyou.com. So once you purchase the book and show me proof of purchase, then you will sign up for of your choice, the date, and then we'll go from there. But I am representing right now, I don't know if you can see it, My Personal Journey of Peace. These are t-shirts. So this may or to get a t-shirt when you purchase this book. And it's thick, y'all. I wanted it to be a big old workbook, like old school. Like this has some weight on it. So a big old workbook where you can spread it out on the counter, table, chair, bed, desk, and get to. So definitely go to Amazon and get my personal journey of peace, 30-day, and I gave you even 4 more extra days. See right there, journey of peace. All right, Leroy, let's go on over to IG. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Until next time, peace, y'all. God bless.
Come on over.